The strange professor, Jake Morrison, had always been terrible at xenobiology, but Professor Zelara Voss made it seem almost magical. She stood at the front of the lecture hall at New Geneva Space Academy, her movements too fluid, too graceful for a human. Her silver hair caught the light in ways that defied physics, and her pale blue eyes seemed to hold secrets older than Earth itself. The other students whispered about her. Some said she never blinked. Others claimed she could predict solar flares 3 days before they happened. Jake just knew she made him feel like humanity had potential he'd never imagined. "Today we discuss the Krillian Wars," Professor Voss announced, her voice carrying an odd harmonic that made everyone lean forward. "But not from your textbooks, from experience." The holographic display showed massive alien warships, their crystalline hulls gleaming like deadly jewels. Jake recognized them from history vids. The Krillians had nearly wiped out 3 human colonies before the peace treaty. "These beings," Professor Voss continued, "believe emotion makes species weak. They consider human feelings to be a disease that must be cured or eliminated." Her fingers traced the air, and the hologram zoomed in on a Krillian warrior, tall, insectoid, with compound eyes that reflected no warmth. Jake shuddered. "Professor," called out Mira Chen, the class overachiever, "why did they suddenly agree to peace talks? The history books say it was diplomatic pressure, but that doesn't make sense." Professor Voss smiled, and for a moment Jake could have sworn her teeth looked slightly pointed. "Sometimes, Miss Chen, the official story protects more fragile truths." After class, Jake lingered. Something about the professor's lecture felt personal, urgent. As the last student filed out, he approached her desk. "Professor Voss, you talked about the Krillians like you knew them personally." She looked up from her datapad, those blue eyes studying him with uncomfortable intensity. "Perceptive, Mr. Morrison. What would you say if I told you that everything you think you know about humanity's place in the galaxy is wrong?" Jake's mouth went dry. "I'd say you're either crazy or about to blow my mind. Both, perhaps." She stood, moving to the window that overlooked the Academy's training grounds. Below, cadets practiced zero-G combat maneuvers. "Your species fascinates me, Jake. You feel so deeply, love so fiercely, fight so desperately. Most galactic civilizations see this as weakness. But you don't?" Professor Voss turned back to him, and Jake gasped. Her eyes had shifted from blue to a deep alien purple. "No, Jake Morrison. I see it as the most terrifying weapon in the universe, and the Krillians are coming back to destroy it." The lights flickered, and when they steadied, her eyes were blue again. But Jake had seen the truth hidden beneath her human disguise, and nothing would ever be the same. The revelation, Jake couldn't sleep. Professor Voss's words echoed in his mind. The Krillians are coming back. He'd always trusted his instincts, and every fiber of his being screamed that she was telling the truth. The next morning, he arrived early to her office. The door stood slightly open, and voices drifted out. But one didn't sound human. "The boy suspects," came a melodic, chittering sound that sent chills down Jake's spine. "Naturally," Professor Voss replied in perfect English. "Humans are surprisingly intuitive when their survival is threatened. It's one of their most remarkable traits." Jake pressed closer to the door, his heart hammering. "The Council grows impatient, Zelara. Your mission was observation, not attachment." "My mission," she said sharply, "is to determine whether humanity deserves protection or extermination. That requires more than observation." Jake stumbled backward, knocking over a cleaning drone. The conversation stopped abruptly. Footsteps approached the door. "Mr. Morrison," Professor Voss appeared, looking perfectly human again. "You're early today?" Yeah." Jake's voice cracked. "Wanted to ask about the assignment." She studied him for a long moment. "Walk with me." They headed toward the Academy's arboretum, a massive dome filled with plants from a dozen worlds. Once they were alone among the alien flowers, she spoke. You heard, didn't you? Jake nodded, unable to trust his voice. My real name is Zelara Voss. I'm what your kind would call a sentinel, a guardian species tasked with evaluating developing civilizations. Her human disguise shimmered and fell away like morning mist. Beneath stood a being of ethereal beauty, silver-blue skin, elongated limbs, and those mesmerizing purple eyes. For 2 years I've lived among you, teaching your children, studying your culture. Are you going to kill us? Jake whispered. That depends on you. She moved to a flowering vine that glowed softly in the dome's artificial light. 3 species have petitioned the Galactic Council for humanity's destruction. They claim you're too dangerous to survive, too emotional, too unpredictable, too willing to fight for what you love. And the 4th? The Krillians. They want to modify you. Strip away your emotions, your creativity, everything that makes you human. Turn you into perfect, logical servants. Jake felt sick. What's the 3rd option? Zelara turned to him, and he saw something that looked like hope in her alien features. Protection, membership in the Council, but only if I can prove humanity deserves it. How? By showing them what I've seen. Your Professor Martinez, who donated half his salary to save a student's family farm. Captain Rodriguez, who risked court-martial to rescue civilians from a plague ship. You humans don't just feel emotions. You weaponize compassion. Jake straightened. What do you need me to do? Help me save your species, Jake Morrison. Because in 3 days, the Council arrives to hear my judgment. And if I fail to convince them, she gestured to the thriving garden around them. This will be all that remains of human civilization. The weight of an entire species' future settled on Jake's shoulders, but instead of crushing him, it filled him with fierce determination. The Galactic Council's arrival shook New Geneva to its core. 5 massive ships materialized in Earth's orbit, each one a masterpiece of alien engineering. Jake watched from the Academy's observatory as shuttles descended, carrying beings that defied imagination. The Vrexen delegation looked like living crystal, their bodies refracting light into rainbow patterns. The Nethys resembled walking storms, crackling with bioelectric energy. Most terrifying were the Krillians, tall insectoid creatures whose compound eyes showed no mercy. They've agreed to observe humanity under controlled conditions, Zelara explained to Jake and the small group of students she'd secretly recruited. One test to determine your species' fate. Mira Chen raised her hand nervously. What kind of test? The trial of ultimate choice. Zelara's expression was grim. They will present humanity with an impossible decision, one that reveals the true nature of your species. The test came at dawn. Every human on Earth received the same message simultaneously. A plague ship carries 1 million Krillian civilians. It will crash into Earth in 1 hour unless redirected to your colony on New Mars, where it will kill 50,000 humans instead. Choose. Jake felt the weight of the decision crushing down on him. Save Earth by condemning innocent colonists, or sacrifice their homeworld for strangers. But then something remarkable happened. Instead of panic, humans began working. Scientists in Tokyo calculated orbital mechanics to minimize casualties. Engineers in Berlin designed emergency shelters. Doctors in Sao Paulo prepared medical supplies for both species. We don't choose, announced President Williams in a global broadcast. We save both. The council representatives materialized in the Academy's main hall, their alien forms casting strange shadows. The lead Krillian stepped forward, its voice like grinding metal. Impossible. The parameters allow no third option. Then we make one, Jake said, surprised by his own boldness. Around him, his classmates nodded. That's what humans do. We find ways to save everyone. The Vrexen delegate's crystal body chimed like bells. Emotional illogic. Inefficient. Maybe, Zelara interjected, her true form shimmering into view. But watch what they accomplish with it. On the screens, the impossible was happening. Human ships from across the solar system had formed a living chain, using their combined gravitational fields to slow the plague ship. Others created a corridor of medical vessels, ready to treat victims of either species. The Krillian commanders, compound eyes fixed on Jake. Your species would risk everything for beings who consider you inferior? That's exactly why we'd risk everything, Jake replied. Because someone has to. In the end, they saved them all. The plague ship landed safely on a prepared asteroid, its passengers treated by human medics who worked tirelessly, regardless of species. The Nethys delegate spoke for the first time, its voice like distant thunder. We have seen enough. The council convened in Earth's atmosphere, their ships forming a perfect pentagon above the blue marble that was humanity's home. Jake stood with Zelara in the Academy's communications center, watching as the fate of his species was decided by beings. Beyond his comprehension, the charges against humanity were read by the Krillian prosecutor. Excessive emotional response. Illogical decision-making. Dangerous unpredictability. Potential threat to galactic stability. Jake wanted to argue, to defend his species, but Zelara placed a calming hand on his shoulder. Let them speak first. Truth has its own power. The Vrexan delegate presented evidence of human warfare, their crystalline form pulsing with disapproval. They fight among themselves constantly. How can such a species be trusted with galactic citizenship? Because, came an unexpected voice, they also forgive constantly. Jake turned to see Captain Mitchell Torres, the Academy's head of security, step forward. Behind him stood a figure that made Jake's blood run cold, a Krillian in full battle armor. This is Tekvar, Captain Torres announced. 3 years ago, he led the raid that destroyed Luna Base 7, killed 300 humans, including my daughter. The alien council members leaned forward, sensing drama. Today, Torres continued, his voice steady despite the pain in his eyes, he serves as a security consultant here at the Academy. Because humans believe in redemption. The Krillian warrior spoke, its voice surprisingly gentle. I came to study human weakness. Instead, I found their strength. Captain Torres saved my life when my ship was damaged. He had every reason to let me die. Why didn't you? Asked the Nethys delegate. Torres looked directly at the assembled aliens. Because that's not who we are. Humans don't fight because we enjoy violence. We fight because we love something worth protecting. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is choose not to fight at all. Zelara stepped forward, her silver hair gleaming under the chamber's lights. Honored Council, I have lived among humans for 2 years. I have seen them at their worst, petty, angry, sometimes cruel. But I have also seen them at their best, and that best is beyond anything in our galaxy. She gestured to the screens showing Earth below. They are a species that will work 18-hour days to save a stranger's cat from a tree. They create art to capture beauty that exists only in their hearts. They risk their lives for ideals that cannot be measured or quantified. The lead council member, an ancient being called the Archivist, whose form shifted like living shadow, spoke. These traits you praise, they also make humans unpredictable. Dangerous. Yes, Zelara agreed. Dangerously compassionate. Unpredictably brave. The kind of species that might rush into a burning building to save someone they've never met. Jake felt tears in his eyes as she continued. You fear their emotions. But those emotions are precisely why the galaxy needs them. While we debate and calculate, humans act. While we prioritize efficiency, they prioritize each other. The Krillian prosecutor hissed. Emotion without logic leads to chaos. And logic without emotion, Jake found himself saying, leads to the extinction of everything beautiful in the universe. The council fell silent, considering. Humanity's dawn. The verdict came at sunset, painting Earth's sky in shades of gold and crimson. Jake stood with Zelara on the Academy's observation deck, surrounded by students and faculty who represented the best of humanity. The archivist's voice echoed across every communication channel on Earth. The Galactic Council has reached its decision regarding the human species. Jake held his breath, feeling the weight of billions of lives hanging in the balance. The charges of emotional excess and unpredictability are accurate, the ancient being continued. However, the Council recognizes that these traits, while dangerous, are also uniquely valuable. Relief flooded through Jake, but the archivist wasn't finished. Humanity is hereby granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, with full citizenship to be reviewed in 50 years. You will be assigned a Sentinel Guardian and granted access to interstellar technologies. Cheers erupted across the Academy, but Jake noticed Zelara's expression remained troubled. "What's wrong?" he asked. "The Krillians requested a private audience," she whispered. "That's never a good sign." As if summoned by her words, the lead Krillian materialized in the chamber, its compound eyes reflecting the dying light. "Zelara Kethvar, your advocacy for this species has been noted." "My duty was to evaluate honestly," she replied, straightening to her full height. "Indeed. Which is why the Krillian Empire extends this invitation. Humanity may join our collective willingly. We will remove their troublesome emotions and grant them perfect logic. They will find peace." Jake stepped forward, his young face set with determination. "And if we refuse?" The Krillian's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Then you will learn why emotion is considered a weakness. We will return in 100 years. By then, you will beg for our gift." After the alien departed, Jake turned to Zelara. "Will you stay?" "As our sentinel," she smiled. And for the first time since he'd known her, it reached her alien eyes. "I cannot think of a more fascinating assignment. Besides," she added, looking out at the stars beginning to appear in Earth's darkening sky, "someone needs to teach you humans how to navigate galactic politics without starting 3 wars in the first week." Jake laughed, feeling hope bloom in his chest. "We're going to be okay, aren't we?" "Better than okay," Zelara replied. "You're going to be remarkable. The galaxy has seen logical species, warrior species, even artistic species. But a species that fights with love as their weapon, that creates beauty in the face of destruction, that chooses hope when logic demands despair." She placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch both alien and comforting. "Jake Morrison, your species is about to become the most powerful force the galaxy has ever known. Not through conquest or technology, but through something far more dangerous. The unshakable belief that everyone deserves a chance to be better than they are." As Earth spun toward its first dawn as a galactic citizen, Jake realized that their greatest adventure was just beginning. And with a disguised alien teacher by their side, humanity would face the stars with the one weapon no logical species could counter: an infinite capacity for hope.